So we're learning Living Emunah. We're on chapter 10. And this chapter is titled, Is Hashem's Hand Too Short? So he says a story about someone who had a daughter that was having a hard time finding a shidduch, finding someone to marry. And she put a sticker on her fridge that said, Hayad Hashem Tiksor. It's a verse in Bamidbar that it was a remark that was made by Hashem when he was asked how he could provide 30 days worth of meat for the children of Israel. And he said, am I under any limitations? I can do anything. Is Hashem's hand too short? So even though other people were telling this girl maybe that she should settle and not look for all the qualities that she was initially looking for in a husband, she said, why should I do that? Can Hashem not provide those things that I'm looking for now? And that is, he says, what Hashem even wants us. Hashem wants us to rely on him. Hashem wants us to include us into all the calculations that we make about life and know that Hashem's power is endless. So all those things, we shouldn't limit those things. We should say, Hashem can do anything. I'm going to ask for as much as I want because I know that Hashem can do anything. A person feels, he says, that his problems are too big and therefore he limits them in prayer, making only modest requests of Hashem. This is wrong because what's the difference for Hashem? Something small or something big? It's all the same to Hashem. So we can ask for anything because it's all the same. He says, I saw the following maxim, which is an unbelievable statement that he's about to say. He says, instead of telling Hashem how big your problems are, you should tell your problems how big Hashem is. That there's no problem to Hashem. Any problem is so small. So it doesn't make a difference what the problem is. Hashem can overcome them so easily, and we know that Hashem is behind us and wants us to rely on him in these situations. He says we never need to settle. We should always ask Hashem for the best and for the most. And he says here that there's a verse in Tehillim, in Psalms, that says, open your mouths and I will fill it. And it says here that Hashem tells us to open our mouths and ask for everything that our hearts desire, and he will grant our requests. And Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says that in this context, that our recognition of Hashem's ability to give us everything we want, and that he is the only one who can help us, that is what makes that prayer so successful. If you ask for something small, you might say, at least I'll get this prayer answered because it's small. But actually it works the other way around. When you ask for big things and you know that these things can only come from Hashem and you're totally reliant on Hashem, then that's when Hashem will answer and give you those big things. But if you say to Hashem, I know that this is a big deal for you, I'll just ask you for something small instead, something modest, that's not putting your belief in Hashem. And therefore, even for that prayer might not be answered. It is in the merit of saying to Hashem that I know that you can do anything and everything, that I'm asking for something big, because to you, you can grant anything you want. And he says something very interesting also that about not giving up on things that we're asking for the big things, even though it's been a long time. He says about Hannah. Hannah was the mother of the prophet Samuel, the prophet Shmuel. And we read on the Haftorah on Rosh Hashanah that Hannah Davin prayed for many years. She was childless. It says here that she was childless for 19 years. She was praying for a child. She was married for 19 years and praying for a child. And yet the prayer that she had for the child, even after those 19 years, she kept on praying. And the prayer was for a son that is as great as Moses and Aaron, like Moshe and Aaron. And you could say to yourself, you've been praying for 19 years, maybe just pray for a child. Why does it have to be a child as great as Moshe and Aaron? Just pray for a child. That'll be, at this point, really amazing for you. But she said, no, I'm going to pray, even at this point, for a child like Moshe and Aaron. And because she kept on doing that, relying on Hashem and saying to Hashem, it's no different for one child or another. You can make my child great for the same price as making him a modest child. You can make him a great, destined for greatness. So she kept on praying for that. And part of that, in that merit, she was granted that amazing child that we knew as Samuel, as Shmuel the prophet.